What's up guys, Elfis here, and today we're going to be doing another HoN versus, this time, upon request, Bloodhunter versus Devourer, okay? This is going to be where I'm going to put two heroes, 1v1 against each other, solo mid. I'm going to tell you who's going to win, why they're going to win, and what the loser should be doing, alright? So let's jump into this. Okay, so first of all, who's going to win? Well, who's going to win is slightly arguable, and I'll tell you why. Because this is an interesting matchup in the sense that both heroes are essentially, they're laned a very similar way. Okay, and by that I mean they play the lane in a similar style. Okay, so for anybody who played against a Bloodhunter or who plays Bloodhunter should know very well that Bloodhunter's main focus is last hitting in the lane. That's just how the hero works. There really isn't much else to it. The hero just lanes by last hitting. That's it, because he heals him as well as gets him the gold that he needs to build up items, to gank it, etc., etc. Now. Devourer is played in a slightly different style, with the exception being that he's also playing laned basically to last hit, with the exception being that once you get to about 3 or 4-ish, give or take, maybe even 2 in some cases if the enemy makes a mistake, you can actually try and get a kill. And in many cases you'll be successful if you play it correctly. So the hero is quite powerful in that sense, that it can get last hits as well as kills. Whereas Bloodhunter, you really can't get any kills until 6, unless the enemy hero makes some very fatal mistakes. You would need a pretty big mistake for a hero like Bloodhunter to get a kill, because he just doesn't have any nukes, he doesn't have any damage, anything like that. The only slight tricky part about this matchup is that Bloodhunter can be very annoying if he catches you with a decay on. So if he catches you with a decay on in the lane and he silences you, you cannot turn the decay off, and the decay will hurt you for quite a substantial amount, considering the silence can last, it lasts 6, 7, 8, 9 seconds depending on the level he has it at. But at the very least 6 seconds of damage, and if you pay attention to Devourer's damage on that, even at level 1, it's 25 damage per second. So it's a fairly substantial chunk of damage, okay? So that's the part that'll get a little bit tricky if you're not paying too close attention as Devourer and you let him get that on you. But if you're paying attention and you don't use the decay all willy-nilly and you just use it to get last hits and turn it on very quickly, then you can still play this quite effectively. So that'll be the part that makes him really annoying against Devourer, okay? Other than that, though, the hero does lack quite a bit against Devourer. Devourer has the potential to kill him if he gets a nice hook or something of that sort, whereas Bloodhunter really doesn't have any potential to kill him until he hits 6, and even then, Devourer should be way too tanky for him to kill just with his ultimate anyway, so he would still need backup. Whereas Bloodhunter isn't the same way. Bloodhunter is tanky, but not tanky enough that Devourer can't really kill him with his ult and hook and, decay combination. But if Devourer gets low enough and he has Blood Sense, then you're not going to catch him probably. So unless you get a nice timed and placed hook, then you might be able to. So who's going to win? In my personal opinion, it would be Devourer. Devourer is going to win this, and the reasoning being is because he can not only last hit just about as well, because if you pay attention, they have near identical attack damage, and animations are both about the same as well. So he can last hit just about as well, on top of the fact that he has decay to last hit as well, assuming he's not making any crazy mistakes and taking a lot of damage from the silence part of it, which I was talking about a moment ago. So I believe Devourer will win because he can not only last hit, but he can also have the potential to kill Bloodhunter if Bloodhunter makes mistakes, which a lot of the time people make mistakes. So if Bloodhunter makes a mistake, he gets hooked into a tower, he gets hooked, away from creeps or something like that, and you just get a nice setup. That's the thing with Devourer, is that the hero, even in a matchup where he can't win, if he gets a nice hook, he can win, is what it comes down to. He gets a huge advantage from it, and that's just the way the hero works. It really comes down to, not luck, I don't want to say it's luck, because it's not luck. It's the enemy hero making a fatal mistake, and you capitalizing on that mistake. But it does come down to a bit of, you have to, if you're going to lose a matchup, the way to win a lost matchup as Devourer is to, wait for your enemy hero to make a mistake. So that's what it comes down to. So, that being said, I believe Devourer will win. It is slightly arguable, but I believe Devourer will win in that sense. So, Devourer should win in last hits, and that's really what it comes down to, winning the lane-wise. There are a few other things that you could qualify as winning the lane, but really when it comes down to winning the lane, it comes down to experience and gold you've gotten out of the lane. You don't necessarily have to get any kills in the lane, although a lot of people will say if you got a kill immediately, you've won the lane or whatever. That's not always true, and in many cases it's not true. It just comes down to who has the most gold and who has the most experience out of the lane. So, in my opinion, Devourer will win the lane. Okay, we talked about why and all that. Anybody who would love to make an argument, I'd be more than happy to listen. Now, We talked about why he's going to win and who's going to win. Now, what should the loser be doing? Well, the answer is a lot more obvious than people think. Bloodhunter, really, as long as he gets experience, if he's not getting too much gold, that's okay, because the hero thrives off of ganking. He thrives off of ganking. Much like Devourer does, he's a phenomenal ganker. As a matter of fact, they both are they're two of the best gankers in the game, actually. And I would even go as far to say that they are probably the two best gankers in the game, or at the very least up there in the top 5, give or take. So he thrives off ganking. Now, the one thing you want to be careful about is that without gold, you are going to be gimped a bit, and you're not going to have your... It's not that you're not going to get gold, by the way, so I should clarify that. You can still get gold in the lane. Just because Devourer should be winning doesn't mean that... I mean, like I said, they have near equivalent last hitting capability, so he should be able to get just as many last hits, or about as many last hits as Devourer gets. So they should have similar amounts of gold, things of that nature. Maybe Devourer should have a little more, maybe Bloodhunter should have a little more. It depends a little bit on skill at that point. So without an advantage, getting kills in the lane, or getting lucky, things like that. He's really not too great. He's kind of subpar in that sense if you don't have an advantage. But what I will say is if you have 2 people in the lane and you come to gank, a 3-on-1, Bloodhunter is very good at that because he essentially immobilizes one of them with his ultimate, and then usually you can just knock them down pretty damn quick at that point. Yeah, so ganking is what you're going to be doing. You're going to be ganking a lot. And when it comes to fighting for runes, you most certainly can fight Devourer, but again, I would probably be careful at 6 because Devourer does have the potential to kill you. So you might want to just be a little bit safer on that sense. But other than that, I do believe Devourer should win the lanes because he has a fair amount of crowd control with his decay, and the crowd control doesn't affect him. So it's in that sense, it's a very useful ability for getting runes against melee heroes. But once again, if you get caught in a silence, it will cause a fair amount of damage. And it'll actually even cause problems when you're trying to bottle the rune because you might need to use your bottle at that point, and it'll get annoying to say the least. So I think Devourer should win the runes, but you can most certainly fight him for them if you need to. So just be careful, and if you can dodge his hook, really, the hero, I don't want to say he's useless at that point because it's still about a fair fight, really. But you know what? If you can dodge the hook, then there's really nothing to fear against Devourer. So his hook is a very, very substantial nuke, and they did that because it's physical damage, in case anybody's noticed. It's not magic damage, whereas most of the nukes are magic damage, and they're usually not 400. That's got to be, if not the biggest, non-ultimate nuke in the game, one of the biggest non-ultimate nukes in the game. So just keep that in mind. They did that because it's physical damage, so your armor will negate the damage in the end. So it comes down to that. But if you can dodge the hook, then really the hero is not useless, but it is a fair fight at that point. So you could definitely win the fight in that case. The only other thing you can do as Bloodhunter is Bloodhunter, because of his feast ability, he has the capability to go farm the jungle, which a lot of mid heroes do not have the capability to do. A lot of the melee heroes actually do, and then a couple ranged, being like Soul Stealer, things like that. They have the ability to nuke down the creeps. But Bloodhunter, actually, he can actually jungle. People don't play him as a jungler because he's much better in the lane, really. And if you play him as a jungler, you're essentially saying, oh, well, I'm wasting my hero pick, because the point of this hero is to win a lane, really. To win a lane and gank, and if you're not going to win the lane, then you're essentially wasting your hero pick is what it comes down to. So that's the reason people don't play him in the jungle, but he actually can jungle. So if you're losing lane's not going too well, and you don't have a jungler, or your jungler's got enough gold and he's going to start ganking or something like that, then you can go jungle a little bit. You most certainly can do that as Bloodhunter. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything of that sort, feel free to let me know. If you have any requests, by the way, I most certainly do requests. This was a request by somebody else. I don't remember the person's name, but this was a request. So if you have any requests, feel free to ask them, and I will be more than happy to do them, assuming it's not some crazy stupid request or something like that. But if it's a request for Versus, I'd be more than happy to do it. So feel free to send me a message, inbox, comments, whatever you want to do. Other than that, thank you for watching once again, and I hope you guys enjoyed it and learned something. GG, well played, guys. Elfis out.